Sometimes fossil preservation blows my mind. I love getting a glimpse into the past. And today, we get to do that with Extinctzoo. Okay, next video we're gonna watch is Extinctzoo. Oh wait, prehistoric animals preserved so well they look like roadkill? Oh, okay.
You find yourself in the 1800s, and you're no longer whoever you are, but instead an early paleontologist who has just stumbled upon a giant lower jaw and some ferocious looking teeth. And lo and behold, it's a dinosaur. But you don't know that at the time, as it is the 1800s after all. And the only thing you have to fill in the missing pieces is some guesswork and a smidge of imagination, something which was used quite a bit in the early days. But to be honest, really any time badly preserved and highly fragmented remains are found, it requires a lot of filling in the blanks. However, once in a while, scientists will come across a specimen so complete, so well preserved, that there really isn't much guessing left for them to do. It's just all there. And to me, these kind of specimens represent just about as close to time travel as we can get, giving us an amazing sense for what these prehistoric animals look like. And I always find that the older the specimen, the more wondrous it is, as it essentially unlocks a glimpse into a time in Earth's history that was once thought inaccessible.
See, I want to know is how do they know what bones go to what? Because I mean, obviously I have no knowledge on bones, even for most of the human body. But like, how do they know it? I know there's been cases where they mix it up as well, but I guess they would identify like what body part it would be and then put it together. It just seems like definitely not something I could do. Also, this little guy is cute.
And a pretty good example of this has to do with the troglodyte. Trilobite. You've probably heard of these guys at least once before, or at least should have, as they used to be among the most successful early life.
Like, they kind of look like potato bugs a little bit, like the little roly-poly guys. Is it? Then they also kind of look like I forgot the name of it. Sea crab, horseshoe crab, horseshoe crab. Yes. Sometimes it's how you find them. Sometimes comparing to other animals, we know. Sometimes deduction depends. Well, like if it's different parts, I guess that would be confusing. But if it's all in the same, okay, I guess I could see that.
Life on the planet, being a form of arthropod that yielded at least 22,000 known species. So in other words, more species than freaking birds. And thanks to this diversity, trilobites greatly differed in sizes, location of residence, and traits, with some having been predators, others scavengers, others filter feeders, and even some others who were planktivores. And it's believed that this group first appeared during the early Cambrian period about 521 million years ago, which also makes them closer to 1 billion years old than 0, which is pretty crazy. And back then, not even a map of the world would have shared any similarities with the present. So it's kind of remarkable that we even know.
Like, look how cool that looks, though. That like almost doesn't even look real. These guys are intimidating, also scary, but dinosaurs. What these guys? I mean, they look more bug than anything, in my opinion. If only Red was here to tell us how it was back then. Savage. Interestingly, most vertebrates share the same or similar set of bones, with the biggest difference being the individual bone size and shape.
The trilobites existed, and yet at the same time, we do not only know this, but also what some of them looked like exactly. As one remarkable discovery from Morocco revealed, a trove of trilobites that might as well have died yesterday, not 500 million years ago. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the story of Pompeii, a tragic event where a volcanic eruption devastated and buried the Roman city of, well, Pompeii, which not only killed thousands, but also, quote-unquote, nicely preserved some of the more unfortunate victims that were encapsulated in a pyroclastic flow. And this story is relevant because it's believed that 500 million years ago, something pretty much identical occurred, as along the coast of Morocco, a giant volcano violently erupted, sending molten lava and heated gas surging into the surrounding ocean, whereupon it interrupted a group of trilobites just minding their own business. And interrupting is really the understatement of the century, as they got hit so hard, so fast, by the volcanic material, that they essentially became frozen in time.
That is crazy. Oh my gosh, can't but wonder that this guy's voice is awfully familiar. Wait, what? Previous one looked like as a lizard? Yeah, wasn't it cute? I like lizards. I think lizards are adorable.
Retaining the impression of their soft tissue and being preserved in full 3D, which is an extreme rarity among trilobites, who are usually preserved flat and smushed. Thus, this 3D element has basically given us models of trilobites that we can touch, feel, and look up and down, whereas 2D specimens are admittedly a bit less immersive. Additionally, the flow that smacked these trilobites did so with so much force that it literally shoved hot piping volcanic sludge down their throats. Unpleasant, to say the least, but rather beneficial for us, as what this did was completely sketch their digestive tracts, which is the first for this group.
That's crazy. I mean, that sounds like really, really painful just having volcanic ash shoved down your throat. But like, they literally got to see their entire. Oh, that's cool. It's like interesting but sad at the same time. Like really, really cool but sad at the same time. Nautilus is a living fossil. Oh yeah, I've heard Nautilus before. I like trilobites. I find them cute. They kind of remind me almost of like a horseshoe crab, and also like a pill bug. At the same time, kind of like you take the two of them and then just like mesh them together. And I think, I don't like a lot of bugs, but I think pill bugs are kind of cute.
And even led to the discovery of brand new trilobite features, including a labrum attached to a hypostome, a slit-like mouth, and a pair of specialized appendages, which were positioned right next to the trilobite's mouth, probably being designed to have aided in moving food into their waiting orifices. And in another first, it wasn't just the trilobites that were preserved by the volcano, but also what was on their shells, seeing that tiny animals, specifically Cambrian brachiopods, were found attached on their outer surfaces and legs by using their own soft tissue stalks to root themselves into the trilobites. So, a pretty neat find overall, and the feats of trilobites don't even end here, as we have plenty of other amazing fossils that come from them. Notably, 2 specimens belonging to the species Triarthris aotonki were found not only 100% complete, but also in pristine state. Thanks.
Imagine stumbling upon this and being like, oh, it's already all put together. It's like buying a Gunpla and instead of pieces in the box, it's just all put together and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Didn't have to build it. Now I can just display it, I guess.
To their unique burial conditions. You see, this type of trilobite existed during the Upper Ordovician and lived in various different locations. But in Beecher's trilobite bed of New York, they experienced life or death.
New York? Let's go. W?
A bit differently than others of their kind, as here, ancient mud flows are frequent that were highly rich in iron pyrite. And as it so happens, this stuff is pretty good for preservation, and thus leading to our 2 perfectly preserved specimens. Pretty metal, and I mean that literally, no pun intended. And thanks to this quote-unquote solution, not only are the 2 trilobites fully complete, but it has also preserved their gills, antennae, eggs, digestive systems, and their legs in walking position. All finds that alone would be extremely rare.
Yeah, imagine stumbling upon this. It's just like perfectly. Oh, that's some box pieces. If you don't mind, what's the name of the name of channel? Extinctzoo. Extinctzoo. They even found almost a complete T-Rex fossil. Once its name's Sue. That's amazing. See, like, that's so. I know, like, people putting together pieces is like part of the job and whatever. But like, imagine just finding it and finding out everything about it, especially if they didn't know about it before. Is so cool. Okay, it's cool.
Let alone finding them all together, which is simply mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It does probably also help by the sheer fact of how many different species of trilobites, and hence trilobites in general, existed throughout the years. However, with that said, you don't need 20,000 plus species to produce some amazing specimens. I mean, just ask the Lystrosaurus, an animal that gets crazier and crazier the more I research it. These little to medium-sized Isonodonts were once Earth's most successful creatures.
They're interesting looking. It's like a platypus walrus thing, huh? You'd be lucky to find a partially preserved skeleton fossil, but to find with the soft tissue preserved as well, let's just say you better play the lottery because luck is definitely on your side. Yeah, with everything in it, like digestive system, and that's actually so cool.
And a rather unlikely ruler of early Triassic Pangaea. Now, they sure as heck weren't as diverse as trilobites, but they did have a respectable range across the globe, and were quite capable creatures. With this being so nicely demonstrated by...
Wait, they're kind of more like mole rats?
The fact that in certain locations, they accounted for over 95% of all life.
Huh.
Something we usually don't see. In fact, it's never been seen before or since. Yet, as it turns out, this is just one interesting tidbit about Lystrosaurus, as they're seemingly great at fossilizing as well. Because as of now, it is a Lystrosaurus individual that holds the title for the oldest mummy of all time. And the
They were interesting. They were like wrapped like a mummy? Finding preserved skin is how we figure out most of the dinos had feathers. See, yeah, but that took them a really long time to figure it out. Well, I guess they had to find something to kind of explain it, but yeah.
Competition isn't even close. In 2022, researchers stumbled upon a Lystrosaurus body unlike anything they've seen before, which dated back to 250 million years ago, but was remarkably well preserved. I mean, I've seen Roadkill in worse shape. And this discovery was made in the southern Karoo Basin of South Africa, which today is a semi-arid desert. So not pleasant, but a lush paradise compared to how it was during the early Triassic, with sweltering temps and extreme droughts being very common realities at this point. And it's thought that our specimen in question actually exists thanks to these harsh conditions, with the current hypothesis being that the unfortunate Dicynodont was caught out during a severe drought, which caused it to die, wither, and then taking a page from the Egyptians, to mummify.
Oh.
And it was this process that allowed for not only the wrapping, but also the texture of its skin to be preserved, despite of course the immense age of the actual specimen. And this also helped reveal some pretty interesting things, namely that despite being neither a reptile nor mammal, the Lystrosaurus had skin more like the height of a rhino
Okay, I was trying to figure out what it would kind of be similar to.
or hippo, rather than the scales of dinosaurs or reptiles, with other observations being that Lystrosaurus was also hairless and dimpled. And just when you thought this find couldn't be any more special, it turns out that this specimen was not alone, as around it the team discovered 7 more additional bodies, all of which were in great shape, with one of the others even being a mummy as well.
Huh.
And the fact they died together as a group has also led to its own revelation, which is while Lystrosaurus clearly survived the Permian extinction event and became the Earth's most successful animal of all time, things were by no means easy for them, with these droughts likely being major causes of die-off amongst the genus, with some even attributing the conditions of the early Triassic to their eventual downfall.
Oh.
Now, these mummies, plus the trilobites I talked about, are often considered ultra-preserved because, among other things, they've retained most, if not all, of their entire bodies. Although, with that said, you don't need to have everything to count as well-preserved. Sometimes all you need is just one piece of you to age well, very well, which is perhaps best demonstrated by what I would consider to be the craziest pliosaur discovery yet, and a specimen which really drives home just how scary some prehistoric animals were.
I mean, I feel like a lot of prehistoric animals are kind of scary, but that's just me. Besides obviously the one we just saw. He's so cute.
And can you think of a place where such a crazy animal might
Do not say Australia.
be unearthed? Well, if you're thinking Australia, that's a good guess, but you're wrong.
Finally, okay. A W for Australia, let's go.
Because this discovery was actually made in the UK, not perhaps a place you'd expect, as today, the island is known for its typically cold, rainy weather, and a distinct lack of scary animals, when not including humans, that is. But millions of years ago, during the Jurassic period, it couldn't have been more the opposite, with tropical lush islands being the name of the game.
Yeah, my bad, Australia. I think scary animals, I think Australia, that's my bad.
While warm, shallow seas surrounded them, birthing untold amounts of life, including unspeakable predators like the giant hypercarnivorous pliosaurs, who in that time reigned supreme. And in 2022, a remarkable discovery reminded us just of that fact, and of its power, as the team uncovered a massive skull from quite the unusual location, as it was
I'm sorry, I'm just rewinding a little bit. Look at those teeth.
of its power, as the team uncovered
Look at that. That's so cool. Look how like well preserved that is. I feel like you even see the texture. Assuming it's not its bone, it's an actual skin.
a massive skull from quite the unusual location, as it was suspended in the face of a cliff.
Oh.
Could you imagine seeing that one peeking over the edge? Almost scarier than the heights itself. And this skull, of course, belonged to none other than a pliosaur, which was a very easy thing for the researchers to tell, as the head was immaculate, being so well preserved that it's touted not only as the best preserved skull of a plesiosaur, but also that of any marine reptile from this period. It also comes in at a whopping 2 meters or 6 feet long, making it also
The head is just 6 feet long? That time was dangerous on land, but on water? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's still scary.
one of the longest pliosaur skulls ever found, and the individual belonged to likely would have been more than 10 meters or 33 feet long, and weighed multiple tons. Now, the entire head was there and complete, but what was really striking to the paleontologist and the rest of the world were its teeth, which I think are better just referred to as chewing knives, because despite being 150 million years old, they are so well preserved that you could still easily slice your hand on them.
It's like bigger than a hand. That's tiny. I mean, it's huge thinking a tiny. Okay, well, in that sense, yeah. But like, imagine the head of something who's being 6 feet long. Oh.
And you can also clearly make out multiple of their features, including distinct serrations, cutting edges, and grooves, which allowed the pliosaurus to kill in a pretty gruesome way, as those ridges on the grooves
Yeah, I feel like they would just snap something in half. Need a pet like that? No. I mean, dinosaurs are so tiny in comparison to a blue whale. I meant in comparison to humans.
Actually designed to unstick the teeth after they had sunken into flesh, which also means that it wasn't limited to one devastating bite, but rather multiple devastating fast attacks that incurred catastrophic blood loss, limb removal, and death. So certainly a dire situation for its prey, which would not have been helped by the fact that tests in the skull revealed a bite force that was 2 times greater than that of a large saltwater crocodile. Yeah, ouch. And even looking past the teeth, we can see more amazing preservation that demonstrates the pliosaur's lethality. Namely, that a CT scan revealed its sensory pits remained intact, showcasing how they would have been connected to a multitude of vessels or nerves in life that would have let the pliosaur detect pressure changes in the water, a helpful tool whilst tracking down animals in muddy and murky areas. But keep your fingers crossed, because while we do remain waiting right now, scientists who worked on the site are adamant that the rest of the pliosaur skeleton is still somewhere in that cliff as well.
That's crazy work. So they still don't have all of it? Humans are also tiny in comparison to other humans. Hello? Ben, stop being in cahoots, you two. Stop.
So yeah, my fingers are basically about to lose blood flow at this point. Okay, so far I've told you about specific specimens. But what if I told you there is a whole freaking site which is famous precisely because everything in it is so well preserved? Let me introduce you to Lagerstätten. Try spelling that. Now,
no, I don't think I will.
This isn't the name of some fossil formation, but rather a type of sedimentary deposit that is unusual for its high level of preservation, thought to be caused by certain areas having been anoxic, and thus there would have been minimal bacteria, which meant less decaying of dead animals. And so far, across the world, numerous Lagerstätten formations are known, and they span nearly every geological period. However, amongst the legions, there is one that sticks out the most, and is arguably the most famous, plus impressive. For it's among the oldest known Lagerstätten, and still beats even the youngest when it comes to quality. Made all the more crazy.
Lagerstätten? I don't know. It sounds like, would there be something with an umlaut? What is this thing?
By the fact that most of it is soft-tissued organisms. This is the Burgess Shale from the Canadian Rockies in British Columbia. Like the trilobites earlier, this place represents Earth over 500 million years ago, 508 million to be precise.
It literally looks like it could be a Pokemon. I know Pokemon based off of like animals, but like it just looks so like it can't even be real.
And unlike any other Lagerstätten, its preservation style is so unique that it even has its own name, Burgess type deposit. And it has the highest propensity for soft-bodied organisms to be preserved that we know of, including many of the Cambrian's most funky creations, almost making this place feel more like a portal to an alien planet than a trip to the past. With some of the more cool specimens including the first complete Anomalocaris, a nice imprint of the strange Panarthropoda hallucigenia, and a pristine Otoia, a strange enigmatic worm-like creature that kind of seems like it came straight out of a horror movie, with the level of its preservation allowing us to be uncomfortably familiar with how it would have looked like. As in the shale, it's even
It looks like those things you put at the end of like a fishing rod, like those little like wormy looking things that you put on a fishing rod to get like to catch fish. It's very fascinating. Low oxygen environments are excellent at preserving soft tissues. For example, human bog bodies, they look like they'd be days or weeks old when a human lived thousands of years ago. That's genuinely terrifying. Cool, but terrifying.
Contain the circular indents all around the body, as well as its unsettling proboscis, plus fuzzy head. But when I say fuzzy, I don't mean hair, more like fuzzy flesh-like protrusions. Yum. Now, these are the most well-known specimens, but of course there were other finds too. And the list is very long, so I selected some of the more impressive ones, in my opinion, which consists of the worm-like Amisquia and its fins, gut trace, and full body.
They don't have much going on there, do they? They don't have a lot going on there, huh? Nightmare fuel right now. Yeah, it's a little quirky. It's a little unique.
And then we have the full body, the armored slug-like Weewoxia, as well as the worm-like precursor of arthropods, Aishea, with its limbs and gut trace. Moving down the line, we also see a bivalved arthropod and its pincers. The primitive arthropod, Burgessia, along with the outline of its actual stomach that was kidney-shaped. And the
stomach kidney-shaped. Okay, noted. Nightmare fuel right now. Yeah, they're a little interesting looking.
Caris, who in one case had its whole head and brain. Yeah, brain. So suffice to say, this is a pretty cool place. and it would take a long
Huh.
time to touch on everything that's been found. So just take note that across the many specimens and creatures, it's routine for researchers to find fossilized exoskeletons, outlines of muscles and growths, plus the actual gut contents of the creatures.
Imagine getting all this information. Fan. Me. Look, guys. Wait a second. One of them just looked like a horseshoe crab. I honestly wouldn't be shocked. Don't horseshoe crabs also have been living for like, I don't know, yeah, even amount of time, but like a lot of years. I don't want to say thousands or millions because I don't actually know and I don't want to like speak out of my butt. But I feel like horseshoe crabs have been something that's been around for a very, very long time.
Truly amazing stuff, with often the best preserved Cambrian discoveries actually coming from here. However, Lagerstätten isn't the only kind of fossilization that tends to hold up well, with another process coming straight from the pages of Jurassic Park.
Oh.
And I'm talking about amber, of course. It has given us some remarkable specimens.
Amber is really cool. This bug is freaking me out, but amber is really cool because you can see everything. I'm just saying, and I know the whole, theme of Jurassic Park, extracting DNA, but still very cool.
Including an ancient flea with a plague still inside it, a Cretaceous spider caught mid-attack
I'm sorry, with the plague still inside of it? Hello?
on a wasp, a whole freaking salamander, and what are undoubtedly the best preserved arthropods ever, which date to 230 million years ago during the Triassic. But as cool as these are, I don't think they outcool another immense example of amber preservation that 100% deserves a shout out of its own, as to me it represents the full power of amber, as well as my childhood Jurassic Park dreams.
Fair.
And this fossil is a contender for the best preserved dinosaur ever, as I'm talking about a dino that got stuck in tree goop.
A dino that looks like oh, right, its tail. Oh, I think I've actually seen this piece a very long time ago in Unchanged. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like horseshoe crabs have been around for a very long time. Millions of years, if not hundreds of years. Okay, so I was pretty good. Not the goop. Yeah, I think it's its tail, right? And was this one of the ways they found out that it was feathered? Oops, sorry.
Now, dinosaurs as a whole aren't probably what you'd expect to find trapped in amber. Rather, the mosquitoes that bit them. Am I right? And yet, one unfortunate dinosaur was very much trapped inside it. Or rather, a piece of it.
Right.
As in 2015, an amber collector found a strange piece within a mine that seemed to him to contain a plant inside. And so he polished the specimen to jewelry level and then took it off to a market to be sold. But, and thankfully, before he got there, he decided to have a scientist take one last peek at it, given its strange nature. And what a great decision that was, as after analysis, it was determined not to be plant material, but rather animal material, a dinosaur at that. Now,
wonder if it had a detachable tail or just died. I wonder if it got like, my guess, if I had to guess, is something attacked it and it was just, because I feel like I've heard something similar to this. Something attacked it and it was laying down maybe next to a tree and that's how it got, wait, no, it's amber, not tree sap. Because I was like, I think I heard something, but something got stuck next to a tree and the tree sap like poured all over it and then it was like perfectly preserved. So I wonder if it was just like something along those lines where it ended up just being there.
this was obviously big news, because it's not every day you find ancient life in amber, let alone an ancient dinosaur. And this is arguably the best preserved piece of dinosaur ever.
Yeah.
Seeing that the bones, muscles,
Fossilized tree resin. Okay, so maybe that's what I did here then, where like it was just like it was already dead and it was just laying there and ended up partially being preserved, I guess.
skin, and of course the feathers, were all preserved nigh exactly as they would be in life. Which again, is seriously impressive considering that the dinosaur in question is believed to have been about 99 million years old. And get this, the owner of the fossil, not an avian dinosaur. In other words, not a bird, but rather a non-avian theropod, just like the T-Rex, which in this case is believed to be a Coelurosaur, to be exact.
Oh my god, look at the little guy! Horseshoe crab has been around for 445 to 450 million years. Yeah, they're just a little old, it's fine. Are they still alive and have blue blood? Yeah, I like horseshoe. I think horseshoe crabs are cool looking.
In other words, while we don't know the exact specifics, we do know that it was a part of the clade which contained all theropods more closely related to birds than carnivores. And we know it definitely wasn't a bird because the vertebrae in the tail were not fused into a rod or pygostyle, as it is seen in modern day birds. And because of this, the tail turned out to be highly flexible and long, while keels of feathers ran down along both sides of it. Miraculously, another observation was made as well, which was about the color, as that too had been preserved, with it having been chestnut brown on top and white on the bottom. And along with the fact that all the meaty parts are preserved, it basically means that you're looking at a real dinosaur tail in all of its glory. So, now you can say it.
Oh my god, look how cute this little guy is! I thought it'd be a lot bigger. I don't know why I thought the amber piece was like super ginormous.
that. And maybe you could have said that before if you see my other video on amber, in which I talked about this as well.
Yeah, maybe I literally watched the other Extinctzoo one, because I remember the exact story of something being preserved in amber.
Another crazy thing about this specimen was that even the quote-unquote liquid, or what had been the liquid, was still inside the dinosaur, and studies on it revealed the presence of ferrous iron, meaning we got dino blood. Though, don't get your hopes too high, because on the molecular level, the sample really ain't worth much as far as Jurassic Parking the creature goes. But it is an important find, as it implies the dinosaur was probably still alive when it got trapped by amber, making this also the first and only known case of non-avian dino death by amber. What a way to go. Now, you may be asking yourself,
okay, what a way to go, but also, like, kind of cool, because look where it is now. Look how it is now. We're having an animal class today. This is just super interesting to me. I'm sorry. I'm just like, oh, Pog, we're finding out things from the past. See, because, like, I don't know a lot about this stuff. I'm just like, oh, cool dinosaurs. So, like, actually finding out where it's from and everything is super cool.
how does the dino get stuck in the first place?
True.
And the answer to that has to do with its size, as this Coelurosaur was definitely a little guy, being a juvenile, and it's estimated to have been no bigger than a modern-day sparrow. Funny how small things can change the world. And eventually, paleontologists even learned something new about the evolution of birds thanks to this specimen, as its feathers lacked a shaft known as the rachis, which is found in modern avians. Meanwhile, it did possess barbs, meaning that barbs evolved before the rachis did. Neat stuff. And if you want to learn more about crazy dinosaur specimens, I suggest you check out my video where I did a whole segment on dinosaur mummies, which are pretty gnarly themselves.
Okay, we gotta make note of that later. Dinosaur mummies, because that's also really cool, because we want to find out more about them.
Anyways, it's pretty obvious that amber is remarkable at preserving things, as was lagerstatin. But in some ways, they are both actually beaten by something that does have an unfair advantage: permafrost. This is essentially soil or any underground sediment that has been below freezing for at least 2 years.
Oh.
Now, 2 years isn't exactly ancient,
No.
but some of this stuff can be much, much older, with the oldest known permafrost being about 700,000 years old. And in the older frost, scientists have hauled up some pretty crazy things, including the best preserved specimens from the Ice Age. And what from this period was the most iconic animal? Well, you should be saying the woolly mammoth, and thus it should come.
Okay, I was not gonna guess that, but now that he mentions it, yeah, maybe. Get double excited when chat and streamers share my excitement on the subject's nice. I think stuff like this is cool.
It was no surprise that it's from the permafrost that the best preserved mammoth has ever been unearthed, a specimen dubbed Yucca. Now, before I get into this, let me just clarify something, as you might think I'm starting to stray from the whole fossilized business.
No.
But keep in mind, a fossil is any trace of prehistoric life that is over 10,000 years old. And thankfully Yucca passes this requirement with flying colors, as after it was discovered in Siberia in 2010, it was deduced to have been a 39,000-year-old juvenile, placing it in the Upper Paleolithic. But based off of appearances alone, it could have come from just a few hundred years ago, or even less, because Yucca was in amazing condition, having been mummified by the freezing permafrost.
Yeah, I was gonna say frost would be a good, like, look at it, you can still have this, you still have the hair on it. The fact that it lasts so long, I mean, its face is a little smushed and, you know, everything's a little matted, but still, dinos are super cool. Yeah, I also love the process of how we figure this stuff out. Yeah, like, being like, oh yeah, we just found this giant chunk of thing, and he deflated, he just got a little squished, it's fine. But, like, look, imagine finding this and being like, oh my gosh, it's so well preserved, you could see, like, I know it's a little smushed, but, like, that's so cool to see how possibly it could have looked. And yeah, can they extract DNA from it? I guess so, because the hair's still there. It will buff out. Yeah, he'll get better.
Ended up preserving her entire body, fur and all. And because of this, we now even have things like a scan of her actual brain, which confirmed that mammoths had typical elephantidae structure, but in Yucca's case lost about 55% of its original volume through the mummification process. And obviously, it's not every day you get your hands on a mammoth brain, and as of now, it's the only intact one ever located. And due to how well Yucca held...
Yeah, literally an intact brain is crazy work. Most fossils are too old for DNA. Jurassic Park lying to me. They only last so long. I guess you'd have to get it from amber.
We also know that mammoth calves were a blondish red in color, and researchers were even able to extract blood from her body, which was, by the way, liquid.
They extracted blood from her body? Let's go.
Liquid. Another first in mammoth history. Now, blood alone is crazy, but what scientists did to other sampled cells was truly the true crazy. As in one experiment, a team managed to stimulate her nuclei to perform certain biological activity, which is insane. It honestly gives me some flashbacks to Jurassic Park. However,
I was literally gonna say, like, what? Most are too old, but permafrost mammoths have intact DNA? Ooh. Real question for chat. What do you think about bringing dinos to real time? Yes or no? Depends on which ones. I don't think we should have, like, you know, obviously Tyrannosaurus Rex's back or bugs. Because we don't want those mosquitoes back. Fact mosquitoes. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I have to agree with dolphins. Probably not, no. Did they make some sort of meat from a fossilized mammoth? Huh? I don't think I would even try that thing, I'm not gonna lie.
not everything about this specimen is so grand, as there are elements of tragedy, as Yuka was, in fact, pretty much a baby at the time of her death, being perhaps no older than 6 years old.
No.
Which thus leads to the question of what exactly happened to her.
Baby.
Originally, based off of some marks and cuts, it was thought that lions, and yes, Siberia had lions at one point, attacked and killed her, but left the carcass due to freezing conditions. And then this idea was later switched out for humans instead.
Okay, dodo birds though, I do love dodo birds. They're kind of quirky. Don't think they could live now? That's fair. Trying to bring back the mammoth, but like, do we really need mammoths though? No, thank you, but mammoths could theoretically be revived by implanting a fertilized mammoth egg into an elephant, but I'm not too sure about the ethics. Yeah, it's kind of a gray area. Earth had way more oxygen, which meant big bugs. I do not like big bugs. Do not bring any of the bugs back, please.
Of lions. But now, it's actually believed that violence didn't get her, rather, just old Mother Nature, who was especially harsh during the Ice Age. Specifically, while crossing a swamp, we think that Yuka became trapped in the mud and drowned, wherein the cold temperatures of the water and the frozen surroundings ended up mummifying her, and thus unknowingly creating a one-of-a-kind specimen. Now, with this all said, while Yuka may be the best preserved mammoth of all time, she doesn't keep the title when it comes to the Ice Age in general, and ironically, the best preserved Ice Age animal happens to be even older, dating back to 42,000 years ago. But once again, this story takes place in Siberia, where in 2018, a team of mammoth tusk hunters were excavating parts of the Badagaika crater, the largest permafrost crater on the entire planet.
Okay.
And while spraying down some mud along its banks, a hunter started to notice something poking out. And given the large amounts of specimens from this area, it was immediately thought to be a piece of an Ice Age animal. But what they did not expect—
They brought back dire wolves? Wait, why? Huh? I mean, they could do experiments and change the DNA from them, make them incompatible with our time. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea, though.
was for this said piece to really be an entire freaking horse that was 100% complete. I'm talking about hooves, fur, and even eyes, all included despite it being over 40,000 years old.
That's crazy.
And the inside of this horse is arguably even more impressive, as after cutting it open, they discover not only its digestive tract in perfect condition, but once again, liquid blood, which, given the age of the horse—
I was like, if that was the actual image, liquid blood just sitting there pooled in is actually crazy work.
makes it the oldest liquid blood ever discovered. And along with some red, they also found some yellow, if you get my drift, with liquid urine also being extracted. Another record in the age department. And what scientists were able to do with these liquids, more so—
I like the one doctor looking up at the camera.
so, the blood, is arguably even more impressive than the experiments ran on Yuka, for they weren't just able to extract DNA, but literally grow tissue from the horse's cell, a step towards bringing this animal back to life, according to the team. And the team has also stated that given its preservation, they will try to clone the creature.
They're gonna clone it. Well, alright then. Alright.
Albeit admitting that it is still a long shot. Because in case you didn't know, bringing back extinct animals is a bit trickier than one might think. And yes, I did say extinct. As though this was a horse, this is not a kind you can find anymore, with the specimen belonging to a Lena horse, or Equus lanensis, a species that once roamed large parts of Siberia, from the late Pleistocene all the way to the recent Holocene, with the youngest specimens being about 5,000 years old. And on average, they were smaller. The
youngest being 5,000 years old is crazy. They didn't use the Jurassic Park method for the direwolves. They edited wolf DNA to be more similar. Yeah, still not my cup of tea, I don't think. Quetzalcoatlus were a nice, cute bird. They could bring it just to no, I know the size of a Quetzalcoatl. I've played Ark before.
Than your typical horse, but they did possess unusually muscular and stocky builds that helped protect them from the brutal cold in the places they lived, with some estimates even stating that temperatures could have dropped to minus 70 degrees Celsius or minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit. So, in other words, cold enough to freeze the surface of your eye if kept open within 1 minute. Pretty cool, and yes, pun intended. Which also makes it pretty amazing that such a fun-sized and cute-looking creature could be so freaking darn tough. But that's evolution for you. And it's also pretty amazing that we have such well-preserved specimens, such as this horse and all the others that I just talked about.
Yeah.
And I can only hope that in the future, there will be even more discoveries, and thus, more to talk about. Thanks for watching, and until next time, on Extinctzoo.
Extinctzoo. That was cool. It's a game called The Isle where you could play dinos and close voice chat. It's just Ark in it. That was pretty cool. The only reason I want dodo birds to come back is I know they're gonna be. Oh, you're gonna eat the dodo birds? I just think dodo birds are cute. That's what I did in Ark. I just collected dodo birds and I was like, I will keep them safe and I love them. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any recommendations for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comments below.